I'm about to explain to you the 7 most common mistakes that people make when they first start manifesting. Or hell, they make these mistakes when they've been manifesting for years, and these 7 mistakes explain why the manifesting's not working. So you're going to save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of time by knowing these mistakes and avoiding them like the plague. Before I tell you the 7 mistakes, let me just remind you of what manifesting is. If you're brand new to manifesting and you have not seen the video that I did that is basically what the hell is manifesting, it's explaining it for beginners, you might want to check that out. It's also on our YouTube channel here. But so my definition of manifesting is based on research and science. Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to help you get what you want. Basically, what you're doing is you are using manifesting to remove the obstacles that stand in the way of you doing the work to get what you want. Manifesting done right removes self-doubt, it removes fear, it removes the excuses and the stories that would normally stop you, because when you do manifesting properly, you literally make your mind, body, and spirit believe that it's a foregone conclusion. And that makes you motivated, inspired to take the actions that will get you what you want. So now that you are grounded in the real definition of manifesting, let's flag the 7 major mistakes that people make so you can avoid them. Mistake number 1 when it comes to manifesting is you're not doing it daily. The lack of consistency is what's killing your ability to use manifesting to achieve your goals and dreams. So what do I mean by that? Well, manifesting is a skill. I want you to think of manifesting as a muscle. It's a muscle that you build through consistency. And, if you think about it as a skill or a muscle or a new habit, obviously you got to incorporate it into your day-to-day life. It's just like anything else. A one-off change does not make a lasting change. If you wanted to get healthier, eating one salad is not going to make you healthier. Exercising once, not going to make you healthier. Manifesting once, not going to actually help you get what you want. You must incorporate manifesting into your day-to-day life. The more consistently you do it, the more manifesting becomes a habit, it becomes a way of thinking, it becomes a way of acting, and it becomes a skill that you can rely on to help you get absolutely anything. Now, what's the easiest way to manifest consistently and make it part of your day-to-day life? I'm glad you asked. The best way to do it is make it part of your morning routine. Every single morning, right after I get up, make my bed, throw on my exercise clothes, set an intention, high five the mirror, I do something really interesting. I call it dreaming in the morning. I write down 5 things that I want. And the reason why I write down 5 things that I want is because it is a way to train my mind to focus on the things that I desire and dream about, to aim my mind at the things that I want in my life. Then what I do is I use manifesting properly to see myself taking the actions to get one of the things, to feel myself taking the actions to get one of those things. And notice, I'm closing my eyes. And that's because manifesting is a habit in my life. I close my eyes to really feel myself taking the actions. And when you manifest over and over and over again, your mind, in visualizing and feeling yourself taking those actions, begins to believe that it's happening. And that will make you confident, optimistic. It'll inspire you to take action. It will remove obstacles. It'll make it easier for you to do the work. Now, that's how you do it. That's how I've made it part of my day-to-day life. I write down 5 things. I then manifest on at least one of those things. And then here's the most important part. I then take an action that's inspired by the manifesting. Now, to help you incorporate this into your day-to-day life, I got something to give you. And don't worry, you don't need to buy anything. I have written and created the High Five Journal. It goes with my best-selling book, The High Five Habit. It's not only gorgeous, and you're going to love it, but the prompts in the journal, it's a daily journaling practice that you use. Write down 5 things that you want, big or small, today or in your lifetime. Now describe the small action you can take to inch yourself forward. Now close your eyes. Visualize taking these small actions. Feel deeply what it feels like to do these things as you move closer to what you desire. This is training your mind, body, and spirit to help you take these actions. This is a journal based on research and science that helps you make manifesting a skill that you practice every day. You want to get consistent? Start using the High Five Journal. Now, you can grab a copy of one of these things if you want it, but I still got you covered because I know there are parts of the world where you can't buy this yet. I also know that you might not have the money to be able to buy it. That's cool. If you go to highfivejournal.com, you can download free templates. Don't even need to buy the journal. If you want one, get one. But you can utilize the free templates at highfivejournal.com. You can read about the science. That will help you get started with making manifesting consistent, which will help build manifesting as a muscle and a skill that you rely on every single day of your life to help you get what you want. Cool, right? Good. Now let's move on to mistake number 2. Now, mistake number 2 is a major mistake that people make, and that is that you frame manifesting based on what you don't want. Now, this is subtle, but it's really important that you avoid this mistake. So this is the kind of mistake that you make when you're really frustrated and you start to go, I just don't want to be alone anymore. I just don't want to date losers anymore. I just don't want to be struggling anymore. I just don't want life to be so hard anymore. I just don't want to be single anymore. I just don't want to be poor anymore. I just don't want to have anxiety and feel so bad anymore. Do you see how framing all your dreams and goals around what you don't want might be a problem? I mean, when I say, I don't want to feel anxious anymore, how the hell am I going to visualize not being anxious? That's why this is a major mistake. You want to always frame what you want and what you're going to use manifesting to help you take the actions to go get it. You always want to frame it in the positive. Frame it around the thing that you want. So in the case of anxiety, don't talk about not feeling anxious. Frame what you want. I can't wait to have a calm, quiet, confident state of mind. That feels different, doesn't it? I can't wait to be in a loving, supportive, caring, mutual, positive relationship with an adult, somebody that acts like an adult and treats me the way I deserve to be treated. Feels very different than, I just don't want to date losers anymore. You want to always frame the things that you're trying to manifest and the actions that you need to take as leading you towards something rather than away from something. That way, we stop thinking and aligning energy around the negative crap that's not working, and we align your mind, body, and spirit around what it feels like to have the positive things that you want. That's going to make it easier for you to take the actions that will make them happen. Now, mistake number 3, super easy to make. You get really impatient. You start off strong, right? This is true with all changes. You start off strong, you manifest every morning for 3 or 4 days, and then boom. You don't do it for 5 or 6 weeks. You start throwing your hands, that's it, it's never going to happen. So you're not only not consistent, but you start to get impatient, and because you're impatient, you're not consistent. I need you to understand something. For manifesting to work properly, based on research, there is no timeline involved. Did you hear me? For manifesting to work properly, based on the research, there is no timeline involved. You must give up the when, and you must focus on seeing and feeling yourself taking the steps that make the thing that you want happen. Because manifesting is not magically making something appear. Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to make something happen. It's aligning your thoughts, your actions, and how you feel in your body with the thing that you want. And the reason why manifesting is important is because when you prepare yourself to do the work and to start to see and feel it, you will believe that it's a foregone conclusion. You will believe that at some point it will happen. And you will believe that you can make it happen. And that belief is why you feel inspired and encouraged to take action. You see, when you suspend the timeline and you get rid of deadlines, there is no room for being impatient. Because you in your heart and your soul and in your mind know that at some point, if you just keep on manifesting and you keep on seeing yourself and feeling yourself doing the steps that you need in order to make this a reality, eventually it'll happen. So if you feel impatient, you're doing it wrong because you're not supposed to attach a timeline to it. You're supposed to wake up every morning and write down 5 things that you want and let yourself see and feel yourself doing the work, and that will inspire you to take the actions that lead you there. And if you do that every day, trust me, you won't even be thinking about the timeline because you know in your heart and soul, eventually this is going to turn out. Now, mistake number 4, and this is probably the biggest mistake that everybody makes. And if you've been manifesting for a long time and nothing's turning out, this is probably the mistake that you're making. If you're brand new to manifesting, this is the mistake everybody that's new makes, unless somebody tells them not to do this. The biggest mistake with manifesting is that you're only looking at the end goal. That's the biggest mistake everybody makes. We've all been sold this bill of goods, not only that if you think good things, somehow it's going to happen. That's only true that you can think good things and have good things happen if you do the work to make those good things happen. The thinking's just the first part. You got to actually take the actions that are inspired by the thinking. And the second thing that people do in terms of being sold a bill of goods is that you kind of have been led to believe that if you create a vision board and you plaster up on the vision board images of beach houses and Lamborghinis and NFTs and millions of dollars in the bank and the world's skinniest body and all the things that you would love to have magically appear in your life, that simply creating the vision is enough. The reason why that's a mistake is because research shows that simply envisioning the end goal without actually imagining all the steps that lead you there and without training your body to feel what it's going to feel like to do the hard work, simply imagining the end goal isn't motivating at all. It's pretty inspiring for about a day. But then what happens is that you start to stare at the beach house and the $1 million in the bank, and you will feel discouraged because you'll realize, holy cow, from where I sit, there's an impossible gap between my studio apartment or living in my parents' basement and the beach house that I want. There's an impossible gap between the fact that my divorce basically left me bankrupt and now I'm staring at a vision board with $1 million in the bank. Holy cow. I've got 150 pounds to lose and I'm going to stare at my photo from when I was my, best weight when I was a high school Division I athlete? No, staring at the end goal is not only a mistake, it's profoundly discouraging. It's the reason why so many people fail to reach their goals, because they only set their goals and they never do the part that's the most important, and that's where manifesting comes in. Manifesting helps you do the work. Manifesting done properly is preparing you to do all the things between where you are and where you want to get to. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that up on your vision board, okay? Up on your vision board is the fact that you want to launch your own business. Right now, you work for somebody else, you can't stand what you do, you have panic attacks when you wake up because you know that you're headed in the wrong direction, you've always dreamt of opening a bakery, and so you slap up a vision board and you've got this big visual up on your wall that you stare at every morning of this beautiful bakery that you've always dreamt of starting. Here's the problem. You have no money, You have no savings. You've never started a business before. How the hell are you going to get this done? Staring at the vision board gives you panic attacks. Here's how manifesting is going to help. Manifesting is where instead of staring at the photos of the bakery, you see, feel, and eventually start to believe that you can do the work to make it a reality. And so what you're going to manifest is you're going to manifest all the steps from point A, which is starting at 0, all the way to point Z, which is opening the doors. You're going to see yourself. And notice I'm closing my eyes. This is because manifesting is a habit. Manifesting happens here in your mind and in your heart and your body. I want you to see yourself. Instead of going out tonight with your friends, see yourself staying in and watching videos. Videos on YouTube of other people that have opened bakeries. See yourself going to the library and getting a book that tells the story of somebody who did it. See yourself taking webinars and tutorials about how to raise the money to do something like this. See yourself studying Kickstarter campaigns of other people who have launched a bakery and raised money through Kickstarter campaigns. See yourself talking to people who have done this. See yourself talking to friends and family. See yourself taking a class in it. See yourself staying in next weekend and working on this. See yourself getting a part-time job in a bakery and learning behind the scenes because you've always dreamt of doing this, but you've never worked in one. And one vision at a time, as you feel yourself being tired, as you feel the late nights, as you feel yourself doing the work with no timeline, you'll start to believe that you're going to do it. And that will keep you inspired to take those little actions to do it. And that way, when you come in after a long day and you've spent the day watching a webinar or watching a YouTube video, or you had a conversation with somebody that gave you some advice, when you walk into your room and you see that beautiful vision board, you know what's going to happen? Your mind and your body and spirit will literally start to buzz because what you've been rehearsing in your mind, body, and spirit through visualization aligns with it. That's how you do it. Simply envisioning the end game, that's a one-way ticket to being discouraged, unmotivated, and stuck. You start to use manifesting properly. You start to visualize every single step of the way, and you will be training for it and doing the work to make it happen, and that is motivating. Mistake number 5 is thinking you have to have all the answers, and that'll get you really stuck. That what you really want to manifest into your life is an incredible relationship, right? But you don't even know where to begin because your dating history looks like a train wreck. Here's the simple solution. Just become a student. Become a student of whatever it is that you want. What does a student do? A student learns, a student studies, a student researches. Researching, studying, and learning about what you want is a simple way to find all of the things that you can start manifesting. Seriously. Anything that a student would be doing, taking a class, researching, talking about a subject, interviewing people about a subject, watching videos about a subject, all of those things that a student does are things that I want you to visualize, see yourself and feel yourself doing. That's a simple hack to figuring out the path between where you are and where you want to go. Another thing that a student does is a student studies people who have already done it. And then you reverse engineer the path and you see yourself doing the things that somebody else did to get what you want. Now, here's what's super cool. Remember, manifesting based on science means training your mind, body, and spirit to do the work that gets you what you want. Your path will not be the same as somebody else's. That's okay. You can still see yourself walking down somebody else's path. You can still feel what it feels like to do that hard work because manifesting works because it's going to remove the obstacles that you create, your excuses, your self-doubt, all of the stories you tell yourself, your fear, your imposter syndrome. You're rehearsing the steps in your mind because remember, your brain doesn't know the difference between you actually taking the steps or you just visualizing yourself taking the steps. When you visualize yourself taking the steps, you are training your mind, body, and spirit to not resist taking those actions. That's why this is going to work for you. Even though, let's say you love The Rock's career. You're not going to have the same career as The Rock, but you can certainly visualize all the things that he did in order to train yourself to do the work that will get you what you want. Now, mistake number 6 is going to be obvious based on mistake number 4 and number 5. You're not taking any actions. Look, you can't just feel it in your body. You can't just see it in your mind. The whole reason why you're rehearsing this and training your body to do the steps is so you freaking take the steps, okay? At some point, you got to leave your brain and your body and you got to take action in the world. You got to let the manifesting, the training and preparing that you're doing by seeing it and feeling it and teaching you to believe that it's possible, you got to let that shit inspire you to take action. Now, I want to give you a tool. Remember in the beginning, I showed you the High 5 Daily Journal. I also told you you can get free templates at high5journal.com. Now, this thing's gorgeous. I love it. The templates I don't think are color, so that's one thing, but they are free. But if you pick up a copy of this or you use the templates, this journal is prompting you every day to take action. This journal is going to prompt you to write down 5 things that you want. This is going to get you to start giving yourself permission to have what you want in your life. Then this journal is going to prompt you to think like a student. What are some steps that you can take in order to move toward what you want? It's going to get you thinking about things to do so that you are taking action. Then it's going to prompt you to properly manifest doing those things. And then it's going to tell you to do it. And so if you really want a kick in the pants, or if you want to have your hand held, or you want a tool, because you are committed to making manifesting a skill that is part of your day-to-day life, this journal, the High 5 Journal, is the only journal based in science that will train you and your mind, body, and spirit to make manifesting part of your morning routine and a skill that you master and put to use in your life every single day. And again, you can get those templates at high5journal.com, and you can get a copy of this anywhere online. Just Google it. The final mistake is also a really big one. And that mistake is you're not celebrating the small wins. So as you make manifesting a skill, as you get consistent about it, as you start to be a student, as you take inspired action, as you realize that you do feel like this is going to happen. You don't even have a timeline on it because you know it's going to happen. You're not, as you're doing these things, recognizing all the small wins that you have. Every day when you manifest and then you take the action that the manifesting has inspired, that's a win. When you see doors opening up because you've been moving toward what you want, that's a win. When you randomly meet somebody that introduces you to somebody that helps you get one step closer, that's a win. And you need to celebrate that stuff. These are signs. These are not coincidences. These are signs that you're on the right path. A lot of people believe in angel signs, like seeing the number 11 or 22 or the number 9, or for me, the number 5. Angel signs are cool because for me, angel signs are a mile marker that give you a clue that you're moving in the right direction. Your job is to declare what you want. Your job is to use manifesting to train your mind, body, and spirit and remove the obstacles that you would normally put in place. Your job is to take the actions that are inspired by manifesting and start moving toward what you want. You also, though, need to call out those mile markers when you see it. Holy shit! I just got introduced to somebody in the movie business, and it's my dream, and I'm manifesting that I have my script turned into a movie. This is a sign that I'm on the right path. And what you want to do is call those things out, not because the universe or magic or this is somehow just randomly happening. This is you being rewarded for manifesting properly, for believing in yourself, and for taking the inspired action that is going to make your dreams a reality. And these little moments, these signs, these small wins that are happening every day as you make manifesting a consistent skill that you practice in the morning, that you put to use so that you are aligned with what you want, so that your mind, body, and spirit is working with you instead of against you. When you start to also call out the small wins, there I am manifesting. There, this thing happened. This is happening too. There are my angel numbers. Holy cow, this just happened. You're now building momentum. You're now energetically rewarding your body for aligning with what you want. And it just makes all of this that much stronger. It makes your belief stronger. It makes your courage bigger. It makes your confidence stronger. That's how all of this builds one on the other. And if you're not willing to call out the small wins, you're missing a huge amount of mojo and rocket fuel and magic that you can add into the mix, because all of these small wins are literally reasons for you to be more confident, reasons for you to keep going, reasons for you to really know in your mind, body, and spirit that, yeah, this is going to happen because you're making it happen. Now that you know the 7 mistakes to avoid, you want to definitely check out and dig into the science of manifesting the right way. And that's what I want to dig in with you next. I'm going to teach you the 4 simple steps that you need to follow in order to manifest the right way according to research and science. I'm so glad you're watching this. Manifesting is an incredible skill to develop in your life and to practice and build consistently as something that you do. My definition of manifesting is manifesting when you do it following the 4 steps you're about to learn according to research and science. What manifesting does is it trains your mind, your body, your spirit to align with what you want to achieve in life. Manifesting is a way to prepare or socialize your mind and your nervous system and your body to do the work that's necessary to getting what you want. And so the steps that I'm going to walk you through work, they're based in research, and what they're doing is they remove all of the obstacles that would normally stop you from taking action. Because just thinking about what you want isn't going to get it done. What ultimately creates results in your life are actions. And so manifesting is a way to train yourself to take the actions that will change your life, that will help you get what you want. Manifesting also removes self-doubt, resistance, excuses, imposter syndrome, all the things that would normally stop you from taking the actions. The 4 steps that you need to follow, really simple. Step number 1 is give yourself permission to dream with the lid off. This is really important. And the reason why this is important is because I guarantee you that right now you are not even allowing yourself to fully dream or think about or set goals that are truly aligned with what you deeply want in your heart. That you aren't even able to manifest properly because you're not even honest with yourself about what you actually want. This is a really common thing because you're allowing your self-doubt, you are allowing your fears, your anxiety, your insecurity, you're allowing where you are to dictate and limit where you want to go. And so step 1, super important. You must allow yourself, give yourself permission to start dreaming with the lid off. Now, the scientific reason why this is so important is because you have a filter in your brain called the reticular activity system. I write about the RAS for short, the reticular activity system, extensively in the High 5 Habit. The RAS is a filter in your mind, and you can do simple things that change the structure of that filter. In fact, the filter in your mind, the RAS, is always changing. So one thing that you can do in order to teach yourself how to dream with the lid off is to adopt a simple habit. Every single morning, I do a very simple thing. I write down 5 things that I want. That's it. When I start my day, after I get up when the alarm rings, I make my bed, I pull on my exercise clothes, I set an intention, I high-five myself in the mirror, I then go out into the kitchen, I crack open my high-five journal, and then inside the journal there are prompts that walk me through the steps of visualizing. And the first prompt is dream with the lid off. Set your spirit free. Write down 5 things every morning that you want. And this is important because when you get what you want out of your head and you physically put them on a piece of paper, research shows that you're 42% more likely to achieve those goals simply by writing them down. That's pretty cool. Secondly, your mind is paying attention. And when you take deliberate action and you write down what you want, you are signaling to your brain that you deserve to have these things. You're signaling to your brain that you do want those things. You're not just going to think about them. These are things that matter to you. And that helps train your mind to allow you to let the desires flow through you. Because right now, you're not manifesting properly because you're not even allowing yourself to dream with the lid off. So that's step number 1. You're going to start writing down 5 things that you want every single morning as a way to train your mind to let you dream freely. So a couple things about this little practice of writing down 5 things that you want every morning as a way to train your mind to allow you to dream again. First of all, you can write down the same 5 things every day. It's your list, your dreams, you get to do this how you want. The second thing that you could do is you could just write down different things every day. It doesn't matter because really what manifesting is manifesting as a way to train and prepare your mind, body, and spirit to help you. And if your mind is blocking you and your mind won't even allow you to fully want the things that you want, like, for example, maybe you want to be a New York Times bestselling author, but you won't even write that down because you don't think it's possible. If you won't even write it down because your self-doubt is stopping you, you're not dreaming with the lid off. And so this simple exercise, write down, I want to be a New York Times bestselling author. I want a house by the beach. I want to take my family to Disney World. I'd love to meet the love of my life. I'd like to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I want to open a wine bar. I'd love to get in the best shape of my life. I'd like to do a handstand this year in yoga. I'd like my dog to start barking at the neighbors. Whatever you want, it doesn't matter. You're just training yourself to dream. And that's step 1. Allow yourself to want what you want. Step number 2 for manifesting properly according to science is you must visualize the steps that lead you to the thing that you want, not the end goal. This is a major mistake that people make. They manifest improperly because all they do is focus on the end goal. If you've ever made a vision board, think about what you put on the vision board. You put up just the beach house or the $1 million in the bank, or you crossing the finish line, or you launching that business, or you having the body that you want, or you driving the Maserati, whatever it is. The end goal is what you put up on a vision board. That is not what you're going to do when you manifest. If you start focusing on crossing the finish line of the marathon, that is a one-way ticket to being unmotivated and completely discouraged. In fact, research shows that if all you do is focus on the thing that you want and you just focus on that vision of you and your bikini body, or you with the love of your life on your arms, or you at the Oscars winning that award or the Grammys, what happens is because you've only focused on the end goal, you start to feel really unmotivated and discouraged because you're nowhere near it. That's where manifesting comes in, because we're not going to focus on the end goal. You got to pick something that you want in order to get started. But manifesting isn't about the end. It's about the bridge. It's about going from where you are here to where you want to go. Imagine that there is a bridge that connects where you are right here with what you dream about doing. Now, that dream could be to be a Grammy Award winning singer-songwriter. That dream might be to have a family of your own. That dream might be to have a beach house or a ski house or to take a trip to Fiji. That dream can be whatever the hell you want it to be. But when it comes to manifesting, once you've given yourself permission to dream with the lid off and really want what you want, to feel the pull of that thing, now we got to talk about the path that connects where you are with where you want to go. And this is all about visualizing the little steps. There's a lot of research that proves why visualizing the steps is the most important thing that you could do. There was a study done at UCLA, for example, where they were researching manifestation and the power of visualization, and they broke students into two groups. And they had Group A, we're going to call these the vision board group. They had Group A close their eyes, visualize in their mind, and feel in their body themselves taking the test and then walking up to a board where the test's scores were posted and finding their name and seeing an A+. That's what Group A, the vision board group, were told to do, to visualize themselves achieving what they wanted. Group B, we're going to call these the hard workers. These students were coached in this research project to close their eyes and to visualize going back to their dorm room, sitting down at the desk, and studying, and staying up late, and putting in the work, studying and preparing for the tests. Now let me ask you a question. Which group do you think did better on the actual test? Was it Group A, the vision board group, who were taught to visualize and picture themselves walking up to a board and seeing the A+? Or was it Group B, the hard work group, the group that was taught to close their eyes and visualize and seeing themselves doing the work to study for the test? Well, if you answered Group A, you're wrong. If you answered Group B, you got the correct answer. The reason why Group B, the students who visualized studying for the test, got better test scores, is because when you visualize yourself doing the work, visualizing it leads you to doing the work. And it's only through actions that you will get the result that you want. Preparing your mind and visualizing yourself doing it lowers your resistance and leads to you taking the action. That's why manifesting works. You know, the same is true in sports. There's all kinds of research in sports psychology. In fact, our Olympic athletes for the U.S. Olympic team, they hire sports psychologists to train our top Olympic athletes, particularly after they've been injured, in visualizing themselves competing. When you coach an athlete to mentally rehearse every single detail about going through the competition, you are training the mind, body, and spirit to show up and dominate. This is particularly true for athletes after they've been injured and they're stepping back into competition. If you've been injured in competition, you're naturally going to feel anxious. You're naturally going to be nervous. Your brain and nervous system circuitry is now programmed with the intensity from that injury, the memory from the injury. So of course it's natural to bring that into your pre-competition feelings about it, right? So manifestation properly, remember what it is? Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work. It's aligning your mind, body, and spirit with what you want. It removes the obstacles that would normally stop you, which then prepares and motivates you to take the actions to succeed. So in the case of athletes who visualize themselves and see themselves doing all the steps over and over, they're removing the nerves. They're removing all the programming related to the injury. They are preparing their mind, body, and spirit to go in and frickin' dominate. And so are you, because that's step 2. You gotta see it. The third step is you're gonna feel in your body what it feels like to do the work. So let's go back to the research project at UCLA. Not only do I want you to close your eyes and picture yourself going back to the dorm room. Notice I'm closing my eyes. It's because manifesting is a habit for me. And when I manifest, I get in it, man. I close my eyes. I go into my mind. I am literally in my imagination there. And I not only can see myself doing the work, I can feel it. You can feel what it's like to walk into that dorm. You can feel what it's like to sit down. You can feel the heavy backpack hit the table. You can feel yourself crack open that book. You can feel yourself sitting at that desk and the desk light. And you can also even feel what it's like, can't you? As the sun starts to set and it gets darker outside and the light on your desk starts to get brighter and take things over, you can just put yourself right there. And the feeling is super important because, again, manifesting is mind, body, spirit. We got to get your nervous system involved. We've got to make you feel like you're at the scene. One of the reasons why feeling it is so important is because it magnifies the imagery in your mind. And when your mind rehearses something, here's what's cool about your brain. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you studying for that test or you doing the work to start that business or get healthy or put yourself back out there or heal your trauma or save the money to get that house that you want or whatever it is that you're visualizing. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you visualizing those things and you actually doing them. In your mind, it's the same. So it's almost like a training run for a marathon. You are building a muscle that helps you win when you take the actions. It's so cool. And so you not only want to feel what it's like to study for that test, put yourself at the scene. You also want to feel a sense of pride that you're doing the work. And the pride piece is really important because the pride piece acts almost like a booster. It amplifies the memory imprint. When you bring this, wow, there I am, I'm doing the work, I'm proud of myself, I'm staying in, I'm putting in the extra work. Somebody said no and I kept on going. I didn't stop when the first venture capital firm said they wouldn't invest. There I am investing again. When you feel this sense of pride in yourself, it supersizes the imprint and the rehearsing. And so it's a super important part of the feeling. Not only feel the steps, feel the pride that you're doing it. This is so important that I want to give you yet another example. Let's say that your bucket list, something on your bucket list is to run a marathon. For me, it was on my bucket list when I was a young mom to run the New York City Marathon. Now, what's interesting is I applied, I got a number, and when I won this number out of a lottery system with the New York City Marathon, I was a brand new mom. I was totally out of shape. I was not at all in any kind of a place to run the New York City Marathon. Now, here's the thing. I used visualization to help me lower my fear and my excuses. Because when I got the number, I did not have a lot of time. If I had been a person who was not visualizing, I probably would have said, I don't have enough time to train, I'm not ready, I can't do this. All the excuses would have come in. But instead, I used visualization. Now, how do you use visualization for, say, a marathon? You do not want to visualize crossing the finish line. That is how you visualize incorrectly. Luckily, I knew how to visualize at this moment in my life. You need to visualize yourself going from 0 to preparing to run that race. So what does that mean? That means you need to visualize, oh, there I am. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I don't feel like getting up, but I'm getting up and I'm putting on my sneakers and it's dark out and I don't feel like going for a run, but there I am going out the door alone in the cold. Wow, I am going for, I'm pretty proud of myself because I'm training. Oh, here's another thing you could visualize. I'm on a training run, it's mile 7 and it starts to rain and I keep going. Wow, I'm wet and I'm still running. I'm proud of myself because I'm out there training. It's mile 11 and my earbuds just lost battery. I don't have any more music. I got 5 more miles to go. I'm out here for almost another hour. And I continue going. And I continue going. And I see myself completing that 16-mile training run. And I allow myself to not only feel what it feels like to push through that moment, when those earbuds run out of battery. But I also feel proud of myself for pushing through. That's how you prepare yourself for the thing that you need to do, because it removes the obstacles that would stop you from pushing through at mile 11 when your earbuds run out, because you've already rehearsed the moment in your mind. And then finally, step 4, and this is where a lot of people, not naming names, but this one is like really important. You need to do the work, okay? You got to do the work, because it's only through your actions that you will accomplish what you want. Let's say that you've always wanted to climb a particular mountain, okay? There's a mountain called Haystack. It's not even that tall, so I should probably pick a bigger one, but let's just call it Haystack Mountain. You've always wanted to climb Haystack Mountain. You pull up to Haystack Mountain, and you get out of the car, you park at the, National Forest parking lot, and you make the mistake of looking up at the mountain, which is the end goal, right? And you notice it's up in the clouds. And then you start to think, oh my God, that's a really far way away. I don't really know how I feel about doing this anymore, because that looks like it's going to take a really long time. And then all of a sudden it starts to rain. And you go, I don't think I want to do this, because I don't think I feel like doing this. And next thing you know, you are back in the car, driving back down the road to that little diner that you saw. And instead of climbing the mountain that you've always dreamt of climbing, you've now come up with an excuse, and you have abandoned ship. You now have literally become your own obstacle. You talked yourself out of it. You started to doubt yourself. You told yourself you weren't ready and that you didn't feel like it. You pull the ripcord, you're out of there. In order to have what you want in life, you must stop staring at the top of that mountain. You must stop creating excuses for why you can't or don't feel like it. And you must put your head down and look at the first step in front of you. And then you must take the action and start walking toward what you want. And it'll be a hell of a lot easier for you to do that if you have also been putting in the time every day consistently to not only see yourself walking up that trail step by step, but that you have felt yourself pushing through the resistance, the fear, the obstacles, the excuses that are stopping you now. And feel proud in every fiber of your being as you push through those obstacles and see yourself and feel yourself doing the work. That's how you manifest properly. And if you do that before you pull into the national park parking lot, if you look up at that mountain and you see clouds and it starts raining, it won't matter, because you've already rehearsed this moment in your mind, body, and spirit. And you, my friend, will start walking up that trail. And you're going to be proud. Okay, how many procrastinators are in the room? Raise your hand. And everybody else is just procrastinating on raising their hand. I'm about to change your life, because this piece of research changed mine. Procrastination has nothing to do with work. The people that write to us the most that struggle with procrastinating: PhD students, engineers, entrepreneurs, people that have a lot on their plate, that have a lot of things that they need to juggle, and that are analytical and thinkers by nature. Procrastination is a form of stress relief. What are you stressed about?
I want to get out of this business of real estate. I want to retire in the next 5 years, and I can't because I have not saved up. I have not gotten the money that I need to do that.
Bingo, and it makes you upset, doesn't it? Yeah. How many of you can relate to that? She said that what's stressing her out is she wants to retire. She hasn't saved up enough money. What's really stressing you out is finances and money and the fear that you have. What happens when you struggle with procrastinating, and thank you for being so honest, there's that stresses you out. Maybe you feel the same way. I mean, we felt that way. I know exactly what you're talking about. You carry around this dark cloud because you don't think you're going to make it, and you're stressed about money all the time. Or maybe your mom's health is declining, and that really stresses you out. Or maybe your best friends are going through a divorce, or you're going through a divorce, and that really stresses you out. And so you walk around with this big ass thing on your shoulders all the time. And then you walk into work, and you sit down, and you've got a list of phone calls to make, which requires your prefrontal cortex
And your prefrontal cortex looks at the list and is like, oh my God, you want me to make 15 phone calls? I've been worried about the money all day. Can we just look at cat videos? I need a break. And next thing you know, 2 hours is gone. You've been online shopping, you've been looking at cat videos, and then of course you look at the 15 phone calls, and you're like, I didn't make them, I didn't make them, I didn't make them. The research on procrastination is undeniable. It's black and white. Number one, all of you that procrastinate, procrastination's not the issue, it's stress. You're procrastinating to give yourself a little break at work. It's sort of like taking a smoking break almost, you know? You're just taking a break. So number one, because you're all stressed out and procrastinators are very hard on yourselves, this is gonna sound super stupid, but you gotta forgive yourself. You have got to actually have a talk with yourself where you feel yourself starting to procrastinate, you go, look, I know I really screwed up. I know I'm in a mess financially. I forgive myself. I'm just gonna do the best that I can. So you have to address the thing that's underneath it. So that self-awareness of knowing, oh my God, here's that stress again about finances screwing me over and preventing me from doing the small things that will actually fix my finances. Second thing that you're gonna do, procrastination's a habit, right? You get triggered by stress, the habit is to procrastinate. So when you get triggered by stress, your new habit is, oh, there's my stress again. I'm gonna actually tell myself, okay, you've done the best you can. It's okay, we're gonna do a little bit today. You're gonna create what we call starting ritual. A starting ritual is something that pushes you to start. The best one on the planet, the 5-second rule. So you've said, okay, there's my stress again. I forgive myself. Now we're gonna 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to only work for 5 minutes. That's it, 5 minutes. Make phone calls for 5 minutes. Here's what we know based on the research. 80% of you will keep going. The trick is starting. You see, I want to break the connection between the trigger, which is stress, and the response, which is procrastination. And whenever you feel stress, which is normal, you have a choice. Here's that gap. In 5 seconds flat, the habit of procrastinating and beating yourself up will take over. Or you can close the gap, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you can make a different choice. I'm just gonna get started. I'm just gonna be okay with where I'm at, and I'm just gonna get started. Got it? Good.
So this is a question from Vicki. Vicki writes, I'm trying to become a fashion and beauty blogger and earn money from it full time, but I have some kind of mental block and procrastination problem when it comes to actually pushing myself to do anything related to that goal. This is something that we hear about all the time, that you have this huge goal, yet you cannot seem to push through the mental block, that you have something that you want to do full time, but you can't seem to beat procrastination. This is something that we see over and over and over again. And it's this idea that you don't ever start. You stay trapped in your head. And if you feel paralyzed, if you've been spinning the same ideas over and over and over again, then you know what I'm talking about. You see, many of you are thinking way too fucking big. You're attaching way too much pressure on the things that you're interested in. Until you start blogging about fashion, you won't even know if you like it. So thinking that you have a dream about doing it and thinking that you have this grand plan that you're gonna do it full time, it is a complete and utter waste of your time to be dreaming that big. And let me tell you why. Because oftentimes, if you're the kind of person like Vicki that's getting trapped up here, the bigness of what you're thinking about is what's stopping you. What I want you to do if you're in Vicki's situation is I want you to stop dreaming and I want you to just start doing small things. I want you to go back to curiosity and less into crushing your big goals. The thing about life and business and success is that you have to be willing to start. And for people that procrastinate, starting is the hardest part. For people that worry, for people that think too big, starting is the hardest part. Folks that study procrastination talk about the fact that the only way to beat procrastination is to create what they call a starting ritual, which is a way to push yourself to get started. Because all the research shows that if we can push you to get started on something, you'll likely keep going. So, Vicki, the only way to get out of the mental trap is to stop fucking thinking and actually start doing it. And maybe thinking that this is going to be your full-time employment, that's the wrong way to go about it. I want you to literally just commit to writing some sort of blog about fashion every day for a fucking week. That's it. Don't think about full-time. Don't think about the bigness of it. Actually start doing it. You may discover you don't like it, for crying out loud, but you're never, ever, ever going to advance if you continue up here. How do you force yourself to do it? Well, you can use the 5-second rule for that. You can wake up in the morning and say, today I'm committing to making small progress on this thing I'm curious about, which is fashion blogging. You can find time when you're going to sit down, and then the second that it's time to do it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start writing. Here's what you can expect to experience if you're somebody like Vicki who has trouble getting out of the thinking loop. The second that it's time to actually move from thought to action, you will become a first-class asshole. You will feel resistance. You will struggle with what you're going to write. You will start to feel like it needs to be perfect. You're going to come up with excuses. You're going to talk yourself out of it. Why? Well, because you're used to thinking, and now you're asking yourself to do. Why am I explaining what you should expect? The reason why I'm explaining what you should expect is because it's normal to feel those things. It's normal to feel scared. It's normal to feel like you don't want to do it. It's normal to think about doing it perfect. Letting those things stop you is a choice. So, let me recap. If you're the kind of person like Vicki that's got all these big ass dreams, but you can't get out of your thinking loops, you can't stop procrastinating, you can't stop thinking about it, you get overwhelmed and so you do nothing, the only solution is micro action. That's it. I don't want to hear shit about your big goals. In fact, for everybody out there, I don't want to hear shit about your dreams and your goals until you're actually taking the actions every day for a couple weeks straight. You don't get to talk about your dreams until you can prove that you wake up and every single damn day you push yourself to take one small action forward. If you can do that consistently for a month, then you can start talking about your dreams. Then you can start talking about how you make money at it. Then you can start talking about how you build skill around it. But until you can actually get your ass out of bed and make the commitment to yourself to do the actions required to become a blogger, or to be a blogger, not become, to be a blogger, to be somebody that's in the restaurant business, you're just all talk. That's all I got to say on this. I'm going to be talking to you about the connection between worrying and anxiety, and how it is critical if you want to quiet your anxiety, if you want to stop worrying, if you want to get control over what you're thinking about. It's going to begin with a habit that you have, that somebody else trained you, that you've gotten really good at this habit. And you know what the habit is? It's the habit of worrying. We all do it. We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of, sorry, let me just move that a little bit. We're all guilty of worrying about things that are beyond our control, worrying about things that doesn't matter, worrying about things that we shouldn't care about. Sorry, I've got the streaming lights anymore. Hold on, let me just ask Mandy a question. Worrying about all kinds of things that you shouldn't worry about. And it becomes a habit. It becomes a default way of thinking. And so in order to kick off Anxiety Week, I want to explain the connection between worrying and why that impacts anxiety. And now, since we're talking about anxiety, I have to be very clear about something, okay? I am not a therapist. I am an individual who struggled personally with anxiety for more than 2 decades. I took Zoloft, which was a lifesaver, and I strongly believe in trying medication when a professional believes that you are so in a hole mentally that medication will give you the ability to start to claw your way out of that hole. I have learned so much about anxiety because of my own struggles, and 5 years ago, I trained myself to be a deliberate thinker, just like I'm training you to be a deliberate thinker in this program. And through everything that I am about to teach you, and all of the strategies that you're about to learn, I learned all of these by researching anxiety. and I road tested them on myself while I was still in therapy. And I then started going off of my medication. And as my mindset reset and as my thinking patterns became more positive and stronger and healthier, I was able to completely cure myself of anxiety. And I say that with the utmost of relief and confidence. And I have also gone on to use these exact same techniques that I'm going to teach you to help my children deal with their anxieties. I've written extensively about anxiety in the 5-Second Rule book, which is right behind me. We've sold almost 1 million copies of that book. It is the #1 self-published audiobook in the history of Audible. I'm so proud of it. And I speak at length about anxiety and using the 5-Second Rule to cure yourself of anxiety, okay? But I need to make it very clear that these training sessions are in no way, a substitute for getting professional help. If you have the kind of clinical anxiety or you suffer from an anxiety disorder, it is paramount that you seek professional help from a therapist one-on-one, that you try remarkable therapies. I'm going to say it wrong, but it's EDRM or ERDM, which is the rapid eye movement therapy, incredibly helpful. And so don't be a hero. Don't go off your meds cold. Don't quit therapy because you think that this live training program is the answer. This live training program is a step. And this live training program for the next week in particular, while we talk about anxiety, you're going to be introduced to tools that are grounded in research and tools that have worked for millions of people and tools that you can take back to your therapist or take back to whatever counseling you get to help you become a deliberate thinker, which will help you quiet your anxiety, get control of it, and then ultimately cure it with the help of a professional if you have an anxiety disorder. So that said, please, please, please listen to everything that I'm about to tell you and try it, okay? Please try it because this stuff works if you practice it. And again, quieting anxiety, it's not an event. It's not a one and done. This is a process that you are going to repeat over and over and over again. Because the connection between anxiety and your mindset begins with your habit of worrying. We have a question from Twitter: is worrying the same as overthinking? If you're overthinking about positive stuff and keeping yourself in an excited state, no, it's not. If you're overthinking and the overthinking is you spinning scenarios in your mind that are negative, yes. Overthinking is another word when it's negative for worrying on overdrive. It means that you worry in loops and you keep repeating the worry over and over and over as if you were washing the same load of laundry over and over and over again. And so we're starting with the habit of worrying about things that don't matter, worrying about things that you can't control, worrying about things that haven't happened yet, worrying about things that are far off in the future. When you start to train yourself to think about things that are not in your control, or think about things that are statistically likely never to happen, that is when you can get into trouble. And that's why we're going to start with worrying. You see, worrying is when you allow your mind to default on autopilot and think about things that don't serve you. Think about things that are outside of your control. I'm going to give you an example that's very recent in my life. So I don't know, there were a bunch of you that noticed in the live streams that were on January 6th and January 7th, and I think January 5th. Many of you noticed that I had a lot of discoloration on my neck, and I had what appeared to be a lump. And my own dermatologist pointed it out to me, that I had a lump that was kind of like right here. Now, the second that somebody says lump, what are your thoughts default to? Automatically. The second somebody says you got a lump on your neck, cancer, of course. I've got some sort of disease that's going to kill me. And so what do I do when my thoughts go there? Well, then I start touching it and I start poking at it and I start pinching at it. And then I start asking everybody, do you see this lump on my neck? And asking people if they see a lump, that's a proactive action. That's a good idea. But the bad thing to do is to let your thoughts then default to thinking that you have cancer, to thinking that there's something wrong, to thinking that you're going to die, to thinking that this is going to be a major problem, to thinking that there's an emergency right now. And the problem with allowing your thoughts to go that way is because when you start to think about things, first of all, it's outside of my control if this is cancer or not. It's outside of my control right now if this is going to kill me. It's outside of my control right now whether or not a week from now when I go see my doctor, they're going to diagnose what is in my neck. Full disclosure, I saw my doctor. There's nothing wrong with me, okay? So if you allow your thoughts to constantly drift to the worst case scenario, what's going to happen as your thoughts spiral is your body is going to pick up on the fact that your thoughts are negative. Your body's going to pick up on the fact that your brain is worried. And what's going to happen if you allow your thoughts to spiral the way that mine started to about this silly little lump on my neck is that you will start to trigger agitation in your body. So when you start thinking negative things up here, you're going to start feeling negative things in here. You might feel a pit in your stomach. You might actually start to sweat. Your heart might start to race. Your throat might get tight. Your hands might get clammy. These are all telltale signs that you have now crossed from simply worrying in your mind to feeling physical agitation, which is anxiety. So that's the relationship between worrying about something, which is thinking negative thoughts about things that are outside your control, and anxiety, which is when those worries become physical agitation in your body caused by your thoughts. That's it. And so it's critical for you, if you have anxiety, if your kids have anxiety, if you're a chronic worrier, if you lay awake at night thinking about all these things that you need to do, we're going to go through all of this and all kinds of things that you can do to start to address this. It is critical that you understand that there is a connection between the day-to-day anxiety that many of you feel. We're not talking about anxiety disorders here. We're talking about the day-to-day anxiety that you feel that is triggered by the worries in your own head, that is triggered by the overwhelm that you feel in your life. This is anxiety that you can quiet. This is anxiety that you can get control of, because this form of anxiety is all triggered by your habit of worrying about things beyond your control. Worrying about whether or not your boss is going to snap at you. Worrying about whether or not your spouse is going to be in a bad mood when you walk in. Worrying about things that you can't necessarily control. And so here's the thing that you want to do. When you have a worry, for example, being worried about a lump in your neck is a good thing, because it'll get you to take action. So the second that I confirmed and I looked at the screenshots that many of you sent me and I checked it out in the mirror, that I had a little something right here, I made an appointment with my doctor. And then you know what I did for the rest of the week? I practiced the tools that we've already covered in videos 1 through 11. I practiced the tools of autopilot versus deliberate thinking. You see, you worry when you're on autopilot. When you direct your thoughts and you're deliberate, you're now in control of what you're doing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to Mindset Reset, the playlist on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. And on video number 2 is all about autopilot versus deliberate thinking. So I would catch myself when I'd start to think about the lump. And I would go, nope, I'm not going to worry about that because I can't control it. I'll find out on my doctor's appointment if there's anything that I need to be concerned about. Until then, I'm going to not think about that. I'm going to think about this. And so day 4, when we talked about thinking this and not that, so this is video number 4, I used those tools all this week, everybody. in order to make sure that I didn't allow my habit of worrying about some lump on my neck turn into anxiety that I started to feel in my body. Does this make sense? Give me a thumbs up if this is making sense. And by directing my thoughts, so whenever I'd start to think, oh, there's that lump, and I'd start to touch it again, which of course makes it bigger, I would go, wait a minute, hold on. Nope, I'm not going to think about this. I'm not going to worry about this. I'm going to be deliberate and I'm going to think that I'm okay. And I started to train myself to go, I'm not going to worry about it until I have something to worry about. I'm going to make a doctor's appointment and I will worry about it when there's something to worry about it. But for now, I'm just going to assume that it's totally fine, that there's nothing there, that maybe it's an insect bite or something like that that's gotten inflamed. And that's that. And you know what? It works. It works. And let's say that when I went to my doctor's appointment on Thursday, I got a bad diagnosis. Well, guess what? Then there are decisions to make. Then there are things to be concerned about. I still am going to have to manage my worries because if I start to allow myself to get anxious about a negative situation, I'm going to make it worse for myself. Okay? Your anxiety and your worrying doesn't change the things you need to do to address any problem in your life or potential problem. But worrying and causing yourself anxiety will make the potential problem worse because you are going to make yourself feel worse. So it all begins with you and being deliberate about what you will allow yourself to think about and what you will not allow yourself to think about. Worrying is wasting time. It's robbing you of what you want to do in your life, and it's making you suffer in a needless way. Look, I don't want you to get to the end of your life and look back and think, I wish I hadn't wasted so much of my precious life on stuff that didn't matter. I wish I didn't let all that stupid worrying keep me from doing the things that I always dreamt about doing. I'm here to tell you that you can learn how to switch your thoughts to something more productive and optimistic. This is great news. Worry is a hackable thing. And I'm going to use a ton of science and proven experience to show you just how to hack it using one magical tool. And here's the great news. Once you learn how worry starts, you can use that knowledge to make it stop. You can practice this magical tool every day to quiet your mind. I mean, just imagine that. A quiet mind. Wow. I know exactly how you feel. I mean, I know how exhausting and frustrating it is to constantly be trapped in the grinding cycle of worrying about everything. How do I know this? I lived it. I've always been worried. I mean, if you could be a baby that worries, that was me. I'm sure at 11 months, when my mom was running late to heat up my pureed carrots and potatoes, I was probably thinking, is she coming back? Where is she? I'm starving. I mean, I might just starve to death here. I think she hates me. She's left. Maybe she's angry about the face I made as I tried the pureed snow peas for lunch. Oh my gosh, what do I do? I have to find a new family to feed me. How am I going to find my new family? I got no connections, no money. I'm wearing a diaper. I can't even walk yet. I'm going to starve to death in the next 24 hours. That was baby Mel. And that was just the beginning. I mean, I was just kind of warming up for a life of worry on a very elite professional level. You know, as a little kid, I worried about everything from the teacher's reaction to whether or not the kid in the stall next to me was going to hear me fart. When I got to middle school, it was all about whether or not my tough skin jeans were cool or my acne or my new perm that I immediately regretted. When I was in college, I was worried if I studied enough for the test, if I was going to flunk out, if I was going to go blind from the grain alcohol I drank from the garbage can at that frat party. I worried if I had enough gas in the car to get to the grocery store. The truth about worrying is, once you let it start to spin, it just spins out of control. I'm sure you know this. I mean, worry has tormented me since I was a kid. It tormented me as a teen, in my 20s, my 30s, hell, my 40s. And if I can go from having this worry as my torturous default and learn how to interrupt it and redirect it and program a positive mind, you can too. Here's exactly what you need to do about worry and overthinking. Here's the magical tool I want to share with you. And I got to give you a warning. This is going to sound so simple. You might even start worrying that it's not going to work. That's why I have strung along this episode like it's an infomercial about worrying, because the solution is so simple, and it has to be. When it comes to your habit of worrying, you already overcomplicate everything. If I give you 3 steps to remember, you won't do any of them. That's how good you are at worrying. I need you to have something simple. So I've come up with this incredible way to do hand-to-hand combat with your worrying mind. Are you ready? Good. The second you catch yourself worrying, when you feel your mind spin, when you feel your shoulders pinch up towards your ears like new earrings and you feel your jaw clench, and wait, there's more. You feel yourself starting to get heavy and paralyzed and defeated, and those worries start to spin in your mind. Here's exactly what you're going to do. It's just 6 magical words. It encapsulates incredible research. It's so simple. You can do it. And don't worry, it's going to work. Here are the 6 magical words you're going to say to yourself every time you worry. What if it all works out? That's it. What if it all works out? Look, I know what you're thinking. You feel let down right now. That's because you're worried it's not going to work. But what if it all works out? What if these simple, stupid 6 words actually work? What if trying this works out? You just heard me say the words. What if it all works out? And you know what your response was? Well, I don't think it's going to work out. That's why I'm worrying. You got to trust me on this. Your worries sound just as dumb as this magical tool does. You have just listened to your worry for so long that you believe it. Now, I said this was hand-to-hand combat. You don't just throw one punch. You're going to have to keep on punching. Every time one of your stupid worries pop into your head, what if I don't get the apartment? What if I don't lose the weight? What if I don't get the raise? What if I look stupid my first day of work? What if nobody ever loves me? What if the swamp monster kills me? You need to punch those stupid worries in the face with 6 magical words, because this simple question breaks the pattern of worrying. Because if you think about worrying always begins with what if. In fact, my daughter used to call her worries the what if loop. I feel like I'm trapped in a what if loop, Mom. Well, guess what? You're trapped in a what if loop too. So you need just one fast, perfectly placed, boom, counterpunch. You need the same punch for every worry. So you get really good at punching every worry in the face. And that punch is, what if it all works out? That's the counterpunch you need to knock absolutely any worry and all overthinking away. It's pretty incredible. I'm here to tell you, in those moments when you get trapped in this, what if this, what if that, what if that, and you start spinning, you got to stop it. And the fastest way to stop the spinning is to say, well, what if it all works out? What if I get the apartment? What if I pass the test? What if the doctor says something and it's okay? What if he doesn't break up with me? What if he breaks up with me and it all works out? What if I get bad news and it all works out and I'm okay? It's a way to get back the feeling of control. You see, the research shows that when you feel out of control, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain behind your forehead, the part that's in charge of organizing information and making decisions, it basically stops working when you feel out of control. And that's why it's so hard to make decisions, and it's why it's hard to move ahead. You just get stuck in this dark mental loop because you literally are so focused on things not working out that you don't have anything positive to grab onto. What if it all works out? Gives you something positive to hold on to. It gives your brain the ladder out of a dark hole of worry. And all you have to do is step on the first rung. Because the first rung on that ladder out of that dark hole of worry is 6 simple words. What if it all works out? Ask it again and you step on the second rung. What if it all works out? Again, and you're on the third rung. Ask it repeatedly about the same problem, and it's like climbing up the ladder. And before you know it, the ladder, what if it all works out, has got you up so high, you are out of the hole of worry, and you have a completely different view of the situation. Listen, there will always be things that come out of nowhere. We can't stop the outside world. We can't stop the fact that you are probably going to worry about something every day. I mean, hello, global pandemic. People get sick. People say they don't want to be married. Jobs get taken away. The stock market drops. Shit happens. It's easy and normal to feel knocked down by life. But you can always use these 6 magical words to help you ride the ups and downs in life. What if it all works out? Doesn't mean it's going to work out today. One of the reasons why your brain loves the sentence, what if it all works out, is you haven't put a deadline at the end of it. The fact that you're saying, well, what if it all works out, automatically allows your brain to expand out of the current crisis, because you know, based on your life experience, that in the end, over the years, yeah, eventually, it does all work out. And, here's a third reason why these 6 magical words create opportunity, possibility, positivity, and a better situation. And that is because it anchors you in optimism. When you're worried and you say, how will it work out? When is it going to work out? What if it doesn't work out? The how and the when, it narrows your focus. It gets you caught in the worry loop, and it makes your thoughts and your moods spiral tighter and tighter and tighter. The second you say, well, what if it all works out? You just change that one word from how's it going to work out? How's it going to what if it all works out? I mean, come on. And it opens you up. You can just feel the different energy. How's it going to work out? What if it all works out? If you consider that it will all work out, you begin to see multiple paths. How puts the blinders on? It makes things really small. What if it all works out? Opens up the world of alternatives that you have, and it widens the scope. It widens the lens you're looking through, making room for better things to happen. The next time you hear yourself say, what if, and you start bracing for the worst, instead, just insert your new magic words. What if it all works out? What if this turns out to be the best decision I've ever made? What if I look back 6 months from now and this, right now, this was the moment I found the courage to be myself? What if I'm stronger and more resilient than I think? What if something amazing is happening and I just need to believe it? That last one is everything. I do believe something amazing is happening for you. I do believe that you are stronger and more resilient than you think. It will work out for you. So what we're going to talk about is confidence. What is it? Because a lot of us don't understand it. I know I didn't understand it. I had not the real confidence, I had the fake kind. The really bossy, annoying kind, where it was really driven by insecurity. What we want to talk about is real confidence. The other thing we're going to talk about is the habit of self-doubt. The habit of self-doubt. So believe it or not, self-doubt is a habit. It's a behavior, a thinking pattern that you repeat over and over, and then it becomes automated. And when I can get you to understand that anxiety, worry, procrastination, self-doubt, they are all habits, then I can show you using science how you can break them. And then everything changes. And it all comes back to these 5-second decisions. If you had more confidence, how would your business and life change for the better? I'm going to tell you how mine had when I finally learned what confidence is and what it isn't. Number one, I know how to say no. How many of you have a hard time saying no? You have clients you can't stand. You have people that work for you that drain you. The ability to align your goals with values and actions. Fearless negotiator. Fearless. Greater self-control. By the way, let me stop there for a second, because I believe that in today's world, this is the number one skill for you. Self-control. And we're going to give you tools today that are going to give it to you. You're going to make a lot more money, and you're going to be a happier human being. Absolutely, and I'm going to show you how to do it. We can talk about change all you want, but I'm the kind of person that's about real advice for real people, and that's going to require some real action. So as I'm talking, I want you to notice what are the physical sensations, the feelings that come up in your body. When I ask you, how would your life change if you had more confidence, and you have an answer, do you feel yourself shrinking? Do you feel yourself talking yourself out of raising your hand? Because if I can get you to start to isolate that pattern and that habit simply in how you respond to whether or not you're going to answer this question, If I can break that right there so that you learn to try, I almost fell off. Oh good, there's a thing. You learn to try, thank you. I'm gonna like crowd surf right now, you got me? Okay. Then you can bring that anywhere. I'm into experiential learning because, I got dyslexia, I'm ADD, it's really hard for me to read and retain. So if I feel it, if I have to do it, then it sticks. So let's talk about the myths and the truths about confidence, okay? Number one, confidence is a personality trait. Total baloney. Total baloney. Lots of extroverted people that are really bossy and annoying like I used to be, although I might still be a little annoying, but really insecure. Really insecure. There's a lot of introverted folks that feel uncomfortable putting themselves out there, but they really believe in what they're saying. So confidence is not a personality trait. Confidence is fixed. That's not true. You could be the most confident person in the world, and the person that you love leaves you. That's going to rock confidence. You could be a really great business person and then make a really bad decision and blow it all. That's going to rock you. Number three, the confidence starts with belief. This is where I go against so many other people. I actually believe that this is not true. I think that thinking positive thoughts will certainly make you feel better in the moment, but it's not going to create change that you want. That you can be a negative, frustrated, depressed, anxiety-ridden son of a gun, and you can still take action. And that taking action is key. You see, here's the truth about confidence. First of all, it's not a skill, it's a trait. And that's good news. It's not a trait. Oh, it's a skill, it's not a trait. See, dyslexia on full display. I was not lying about that. Confidence is a skill, it's not a trait. Confidence is situational. So there are areas of your life where you are confident, and then there are areas of your life where you have a ton of doubt. And here's the most important one. Confidence begins with action. Now, this is not something that I made up, and in a second I'm going to show you the science. I want you to write this quote down. If you have a problem that can be solved with action, you don't have a problem. So a lot of us talk about the problems that we have, but they're actually not problems. We're stuck in one of the traps of self-doubt. And that's what we're going to be talking about in just a second. But first, I want to show you how you build confidence. And let's look at the research, because there's really, really strong research on this. If you want more information on this, just Google the confidence competency loop. The confidence competency loop. Let me show you what this is. So basically, if you try something, he's either going to succeed or he's going to survive. Now, what happens if you survive it? Like you really blow it, but you survive it. Well, you learn something. And then when you learn something, what are you doing? You're building skills. And when you're building skills at something, what are you gaining? Competency. All competency means is that by learning something over and over and over again, you have to do less thinking about it, so you don't have time to get anxious. Just like me in the bed. I had time to lay there, so I was thinking about all my problems. The more you do something, the more that you try, the more you build skill and competency, and that is where confidence comes. So I want you to walk out of here not only with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Catch yourself when you feel yourself shrinking. Catch yourself when you feel yourself editing yourself or silencing yourself. I also want you to walk out of here with a brand new definition of confidence, which I'm going to give to you in a second. Because check this out. All of us are going to feel failure. Let me show you what happens when you are afraid of failing, when you're fearing it. First of all, you're going to start thinking, aren't you? Ooh, I don't know if I want to give a speech. I might be really bad at it. And then I don't know what I want to talk about. And I'm not really sure. Am I ready? Am I not ready? Should I wear the tennis shoes? Should I wear the heels? Should I not do this? Should I do this? And then, of course, as you think, you're going to start to doubt yourself. And this becomes this loop. This is what researchers call a habit loop. We're going to get more into this. This is a chunk of behavior that gets encoded in this part of your brain. You see, you're not a doubter. You have a habit of doing it. The same is true, by the way, when you feel nervous. You start overthinking. The same is true when you start feeling insecure. The same is true when you feel like a fake. The same is true when you start to get overwhelmed. The same is true when you start to fear rejection. All of those things Normal. It's normal to be afraid of being rejected. It sucks. It's normal to feel nervous. These feelings are normal. Acting nervous is a choice. There's only one way to break a habit loop. You have to insert a different behavior. Pretty neat, huh? See, we spend way too much time with the red arrows. I got to be fearless. I can't ever worry. It's terrible to feel like a fake. No, it's not. It's normal. In fact, you're going to. When you first relaunch your eco-adventure company, you're going to feel like a fake. That is normal. Acting like one is a choice. So the only way to break the habit of self-doubt and thinking is to take action. And what action are you going to take? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that, if you do it over and over, puts a new habit in place. This is how you build confidence, one 5-second decision at a time. Let me show you a little bit more science. So right here is your brain. And the red part right there, that's the basal ganglia. That's where all your habit loops get encoded. Everything that you do that you don't think about. Worrying. Let me give you another example. When you put on your pants, do you put your right or your left leg in first? You're thinking about it, aren't you? You don't when you pull your jeans on. It's a pattern of behavior that is right here. Here's the other problem. This is also where worry is. This is where anxiety is. This is where depression is. This is where self-doubt is. It's all right here. This is where procrastination is. What happens when you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is you activate the prefrontal cortex, which you know is the part of the brain that you need for strategic thinking, for acting with courage, for changing. So the truth is, in 5 seconds, you can change anything, and that changes everything. And I want you to understand that to feel more confident about the things that you want to do in your next chapter, it begins with being willing to try. So if confidence is the decision to try, because I also like the idea of you not thinking that the big topics like confidence are about how you feel. I want to make them action-based, because you can't control how you feel at times, but you can always choose how you act. So if confidence is the decision to try, here's the definition of self-doubt. It's the decision not to. See, one of the things that I've come to realize is that when you talk about self-doubt, it's such a big term that you tend to think that it's just nothing that you can control. But what if you started to consider that self-doubt is actually a decision? It's going to give you a lot of power. Now remember, I told you that your doubts create mountains and your actions move them. So let me show you the 4 traps of self-doubt. This is really incredible stuff. So the 4 traps of self-doubt, because I just said confidence is about an action, self-doubt is a decision not to try, and there are 4 ways, 4 actions that we all engage in that are you deciding not to try. Here they are: hesitating, hiding, hypercritical, and helplessness. So I'm going to unpack these for you, and I want you to be thinking for a minute. I want you to think about that next chapter. And as I roll these out, I want you to think about, are you stuck in this? And by the way, I can relate to every single one of these. So when I think about the next chapter of getting into throwing events and creating more and more courses and doing bigger and bigger things, I can see myself in every single one of these, okay? Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe, because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you, so make sure you subscribe. Mwah.